All right, here we go. Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
Live from the basement of the YouTube headquarters, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and on today's show, we're talking love. What lights up a money geek more than Barry White and a nice crisp rosé served next to a roaring romantic fire? We'll find out. And we'll also discuss a recent study on Valentine's Day spending that definitely does not light us up. How do you get out of Valentine's Day with your wallet intact? That's today's topic. But that's not all, because at the halfway point of today's discussion, I'll fire up my Valentine's Day trivia love shot. Who's going to win today's contest? We'll see. And now, a guy who's a pro at the sexy talk, like when he says the only thing more powerful than love is a Roth IRA started at the age of 18. Oh, Joe, take me to bed or lose me forever. It's Joe Saul-Sehy.
Isn't that, I don't think there are things more romantic than somebody that starts a Roth IRA at age 18. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Stacking Benjamin Show. We're super happy you're here. Sit back and relax for another Friday roundtable. And look at this crew we have with us today. Let's meet them all. First of all, the guy who has a podcast that's in the middle of being renamed, Jesse Cramer's here. How are you? Is it still the Best Interest podcast today?
I think after that intro, it might be the Love Shot podcast for like the next hour, and then we'll figure out the long-term name after that.
The Money Love Shot.
TM, I'm trademarking it right now.
Yeah, he wants a commission on that deal, Jesse. Yeah, absolutely. But we haven't announced the name yet. We don't have a name.
As of Valentine's Day, we'll have a new name. We will have a new name.
It is Valentine's Day, but we're recording it early and you can't tell us.
I mean, I can, as long as you guys don't spoil it. The world premiere here in this recording.
Well, we're only on YouTube, you know.
Oh, we're keeping it hidden.
Okay.
Can't do it.
Man. So close. We almost got him. I shouldn't have said that, Doug. Why did I even tell him that we were live on YouTube? A woman who we've been trying to get back over and over and over on this here podcast, Sarah Catherine Gutierrez is back. How are you?
Hi, good. So wait, we're live?
Believe it or not?
Oh, God.
Who do? Yes. Did you have any idea?
No, but hi.
Well, welcome. So what's going on at Aptus Financial up the road from me, just 2 hours up the road in Little Rock?
I know. We're still trying to get you out here salsa dancing at our nightclub in Little Rock. So still have not successfully gotten you here, which I think is a real shame, Joe.
I don't know. Did you see me dancing on that intro video?
You really don't want to do that, Sarah Catherine.
We need you. No, we need you on the dance floor. It's a sad thing.
I think Sarah Catherine's like, we need to teach that dude how to dance so we don't have to watch that anymore. The little white guy shuffle thing going on. Yeah. But what's going on in the world of financial planning in Little Rock, Sarah Catherine?
You know, there's a lot of credit card debt. That's what we're seeing a lot of right now. And so I'm really eager to have this conversation today about, some Valentine spending. I think there's a lot of digging out to do from inflation. So that's a real sad reality.
I think so, too. I feel like we went back to spending the way that we used to after the pandemic ended. Inflation went through the roof and we didn't get a raise. We didn't ask for raises by and large, and we should have. And we just let the credit card do the heavy lifting. And speaking of heavy lifting, the guy back doing the heavy lifting on this podcast because Squirrel Cam must have been over for the day, Mr. Len Penzo is here. How are you, man?
I am great. Good to be back. Hello, everybody. And Valentine's Day.
What's going on? Yeah. Squirrel's Gone Wild today.
You know what? I'll have to check the cam. We've had some interesting, we're getting a lot of group squirrels now on the squirrel cams. Well, hey, it's Valentine's Day. So, I get a little spicy. So, you can always stop by and check out the squirrel cam. It's always there on lenpenzo.com. So
polyamory happening in the rodent population.
Of course it is, Doug. Of course it is. And for all of you out there who I know who are alone, there's a lot of people out there who are alone on Valentine's Day, which, that's always sad. But just remember this, folks, just to kind of make you feel a little better is that nobody loves you on any other day either. So it's not just Valentine's Day. You have to feel bad.
And that is, you are a helpless romantic, Mr. Penzo. This day's no different than the rest of them. Oh, that's
Born alone, you're going to die alone. Get
That's
over it.
right. Just, yeah. So cheer up.
absolutely horrible. Well, we're going to talk about some disturbing statistics. I have a survey that was recently released. Doug, you alluded to this earlier. We're going to talk about what lights up our money geeks on Valentine's Day. We'll do that in the second half of the show. But before any of that, we have some sponsors to make sure this thing goes. And we're going to say hello to them and thank them. And then we're talking all things Valentine's Day. So let's get with it. The piece that inspired today's episode comes to us from lendingtree.com. And this is written by Maggie Davis. Lovebirds plan to spend $179 on average this Valentine's Day, while 56% of people say they would skip the holiday if they could. And what's funny, Sarah Catherine, let's start with you. 56% of people say they'd skip the holiday if they could. I think in some ways, when it comes to your wallet, can't you skip this holiday?
I mean, 100% you can, but that is really crazy. $170. That seems like a lot of money. I also kind of want to know like the logistics of this study. Like, how did they carry it out? Was this what are you buying? I mean, are we capturing all of the spending that people are doing or just the gift? Because I feel like that's what this thing is not really getting at.
I do think the spending, the like a restaurant now, if I go to a decent restaurant, not even a super nice restaurant, and we have a couple of drinks, I'm looking at three figures right there, Sarah Catherine.
Oh, 100%. And then, I've got young kids. So did you know babysitters now charge $25 an hour?
Wow. I'm in the
Yes.
wrong business.
Right. So, we're going to go to Chipotle and spend 30 minutes there because that's about how much we can afford for dinner and a babysitter. But then what I think is a little crazy is the skewing of the spending towards men. It's like as if women, don't do any of the spending. And again, I think that's where some of these expenses are not getting caught in this exact survey. So I have to question how the survey was done. What about the outfit? Are we spending $150 on a new outfit? What about the mani-pedi? What
Doug
about
gets those every Valentine's. He gets those.
What I spend on lingerie alone is way more than the average.
We're gonna dive in. I just threw up in my mouth. Of the 56% of respondents in relationships, let's get into this piece because you brought this up. 82% will give their significant other a gift this Valentine's Day. Men, 89%, as you mentioned, are much more likely to do so than women, 76%. Jesse, does that surprise you? Are you and Mrs. Cramer going to be exchanging Valentine's Day gifts this year?
I know what I'm getting. I don't know what Mrs. Cramer is getting. But does the statistic surprise me? I mean, plainly speaking, it doesn't surprise me only because, and maybe this is some of what Sarah was getting at, which is like the societal standards and the expectations of who's buying what for whom. And if nothing else, I mean, I would think, isn't there some stereotype, some standard of, at the very least, the guy's got to get his lady a bouquet of flowers.
The disturbing part of that is the next statistic, Jesse, which is that Gen Zers age 18 to 28 are the most likely age group to buy their significant others a gift. Gen Xers like me are the least likely. Are we jaded? Is that the deal? Like, I'm over it.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Like, if I'm okay, I'm going to put myself in a Gen Z shoe where I'm maybe in my mid 20s. I'm in a relationship that's still growing. Maybe I'm still in the wooing phase. Like, of course I'm going to do something nice for Valentine's Day. I put myself in the Joe Saul-Sehy shoes, the neighbor Doug shoes, the Len Penzo shoes. And at this point, like, aren't we just going to look at each other and just kind of shrug and be like, it's just another day. What's the difference? Why? Let's save it up. Let's save the money for this summer's vacation or something like that. I don't need any more chocolates, right? So that stat doesn't really surprise me either.
Oh, well, let's go to the one that does surprise everybody, Len. At least it surprised me. I don't know if it surprised you. And that is the number of people that are going to go into debt for Valentine's Day. And they're not going to tell the person they're romantically involved with that they're going into debt.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, that is amazing. I mean, if you think that's going to turn into some long-term relationship, healthy relationship, trying to do some deception that way, I tell you, that's not a very good way to get off. As Gen Xer myself, Joe, I agree that I hardly spend anything. What is it? $179 you said basically is what people
$179.
I mean, that's basically a card nowadays. A Hallmark card is about $179, I think. And by the way, Sarah Catherine, here's a pro tip for you as someone who's had kids. Instead of $25 an hour for a babysitter, 25 cents a tablespoon for cough syrup is much more cost effective.
Oh no,
that's brilliant, Len.
So
I'm going to come back to you for more tips on child rearing.
Pediatricians, send your
Benadryl is a wonder drug.
And CPS people, please send your hate mail to Len at lenpenzo.com.
CPS.
Leave them at home asleep alone. That's the type of high quality stuff you hear on Stacking Benjamins. But this, Sarah Catherine, back to you. This is not just about Valentine's Day, right? When I was a financial planner, I'm sure it's the same thing today. People just got done getting in over their head at the holiday season, right? We do it around people's birthdays. Why are we spending so much people? Why are we spending so much money trying to impress people by gifting them stuff we can't afford?
100%. I mean, I know that I love my husband so much. If he bought me a gift, I know I bought me that gift, right? Because we have a joint budget. So if I want something, I'm going to go buy it. I don't find that particularly romantic. Although when you sent that article, I was like, oh, Valentine's Day. I hit send on the Mrs. C's chocolates for him because he loves them. And he will be happy that we both spent money on his gift, right? But I mean, I'll tell you, he just cleaned out the garage this past weekend. I mean, there is nothing hotter or sexier than that, right? There you go, folks. We don't need gifts. We need acts of service like that. That's what we need. So yes, I think it's a lot of money. And actually looking at the article too, it's like for an income of $30,000, that's, that the $179 is the typical expense. And I'm thinking, I feel like that's a lot of money, for any income. And then it goes higher as the income gets higher. And you start kind of doing the budget on that. And the numbers really don't add up that we can afford it. And seriously, we really have to look at the actual expenses. It's not just the $179. It's the dinner, it's all the things. And, if I add it all up, a meal, if you pay $20 for a valet, I don't know, get a babysitter and then a gift. I mean, there's almost $400 right there. And
this is what you were saying earlier. You were saying that number's low. You think $179 doesn't even touch it.
Joe, it's not like I have someone in front of me that's like, yeah, I got $170 in credit card debt. Don't know what to do with it. That's not the way this works. It's hey, I'd like to talk to you about investing in stocks and bonds. And you have an hour-long conversation. And then there's oh, by the way, I have $40,000 in credit card debt. What should I do?
Man.
We know this happened, right? People are getting shocked right now with how expensive things are. And so I think we've got to find some alternatives to this kind of spending and realize it's not the gift anymore that's expensive. Life is expensive. Going out to eat is now just an expensive thing to do. It's not what it used to be. And I think that's where people are getting tripped up on credit card debt, unfortunately.
Jesse, with a young child at home, I didn't see you shake too much when Sarah Catherine was talking about $25 an hour.
I know our most recent babysitter, and this might be, hearkening back to last week, there was this whole, what do things cost in Upper Michigan versus New York City thing with neighbor Doug. I don't know if you remember that. I think $30 an hour for an assistant, like just blew Doug's mind. I think he's still in the single digits. But here in upstate New York,
they get a solid $7.
Pay them in nickels. Here in upstate New York, our babysitter, who we like very much, charges us $18 an hour. And because we like her a lot and we want her to come back, we pay her $20 an hour. So I think that's like the going rate here. 18, $20 an hour. So, right. I mean, in Sarah Catherine's defense, our last date night was like a 4.5 hour. Let's go get a little drink. Let's get some dinner. Let's find a little bakery to have dessert afterwards. We were gone 4.5 hours. So the babysitting portion of it was $90, let alone, the drink, the food, all that. It adds up. It's expensive. Being social and fun is expensive, I guess.
Reminds me of a time when we were out. And I probably had a couple more drinks than I needed to, and my wife drove the sitter home, and I just pulled the wad of cash out of my pocket and handed it to her and said, "Here, pay with this." She just handed the whole wad of cash to the babysitter. She was calling us like every 3 days. "Do you need a sitter? Need a sitter?"
Did you figure out how much was in there?
Yeah, it was like $300 or $400. Yeah.
That's a horrible precedent.
And then my wife's trying to get me to go get it back. I'm like, I didn't F that up. You were the one who handed her the whole. Didn't it seem a little thick to you, sweetheart? That's what you gave me.
Could you imagine knocking on a teenager's door?
Yeah.
There's been a big misunderstanding. A big mistake. Yeah. Len, what else did you find interesting in the study?
Oh, hey, did you know 28% of people are cutting back on Valentine's Day spending? Did you see that? Yes. So, and frankly, if you think about that, that seems way low to me. I would think almost everybody would be cutting back on their Valentine's spending, unless you're right into a fresh new relationship and you're really trying to score some brownie points. But, that seems really, really low to me, 28%.
And on that note, I like this one, Len, which is 34% of all Americans say they've set a Valentine's Day spending limit with their partner in the past, with 11% saying they've done so every year. On the other hand, 34% haven't considered it and wouldn't. Why would you not? Why are you like, no, I'm not putting I'm not going to put a spending cap in place? Holy smokes. I don't know. Does that mean, the Lexus, the brand new Lexus isn't just for Christmas anymore, right? That's a great Valentine's gift too. So who knows? I mean, that seems absolutely ridiculous. Not putting some sort of limit on but you know what? I guess people who use credit cards, though, they might not think that way. It's like, use that credit card and money is you don't think of, you're not really, a lot of people who are addicted to their credit cards aren't worried about limits because it's covered by the credit card in the first place. They deal with the consequences much later. So I can see
Love is priceless, Len. Love is priceless.
Of course it is. Yes, absolutely.
I don't know. When it comes to money and relationships, Len, do you and the honeybee, do you guys around Valentine's Day, do you set limits on how much you're going to spend on each other? What do you do?
No, well, like Sarah Catherine was talking about, we don't buy anything because there's no secrets with they know what we're getting. Unless we specifically say on the very rare case, don't look at the credit card statement for, I got you something and you just get, and that has happened on occasion. But once you get to my age, that kind of stuff just doesn't, we don't buy that stuff anymore. The only thing I've been really working on is getting a smoking hot body for the honeybee. That's my best, that's the best thing you can do for somebody for Valentine's Day when you get to be my age. And, when you get to be older, the best way to get a smoking hot body, right?
Well, how's that?
It's cremation. Cremation is by far the
Oh my God. No.
And he's back.
I'm so glad to have Len back. You just see him winding up for that fastball. You're like, here it comes. It's coming. I know. You still can't hit it.
He's been planning that all day. How do you, Jesse, know? I've wondered this since the beginning, and I'm sure some of our stackers are wondering the same thing. How do you know what you're getting for Valentine's Day?
What do you mean? How do I decide?
No, I said about Mrs. Cramer and you guys giving gifts, and you're like, I know what I'm getting, but I don't know what she's getting. So how do you know what you're getting?
Yeah. So how do I make the decision of what I'm going to buy her? That's what you're asking. Not what I'm receiving.
What you're getting for her. I thought you were saying.
Sorry. No. I misspoke.
what you were getting.
Your verbal recall was perfect. That's exactly what I said. But what I meant was what I'm purchasing on behalf of my wife to give her as a gift.
Because didn't Doug come across as the opposite of that? Yeah, I know what she's getting me, but I'm not sure if she's getting anything.
Yeah,
that is how I
Right.
interpreted.
Yeah, that's totally my bad. But
Yes.
to go back and answer your question, I know what I'm buying for my wife because I get to decide that inside my own brain. So I think that's the answer.
And you're very proud of that too.
Yes.
Clearly,
agency,
Jesse hasn't
damn
been
it.
married that long, because eventually the time's going to come when she's going to tell you what you're going to be getting her.
That's right. Yes, that comes with time, and you're thankful for it too, by the way, because everybody knows exactly what's going on. Speaking of what's going on, I want to address this idea about lying, right, and about surprising people with expensive stuff. And the way we can go about that is, let's start off with this wonderful clip that I found on Saturday Night Live.
Hey, Matt, I think there might be one more gift for your mom right there.
It hasn't been a normal year, so this Christmas, get her something extraordinary during the Lexus December to Remember sales event.
Nathan, you didn't.
With flexible financing and 0% APR, there's never been a better time to buy or lease a new Lexus.
Merry Christmas, baby.
Are you kidding me, Nathan? Did you seriously buy a car without asking me?
Well, because for Christmas...
This is a major purchase.
Right? But it was a December to remember.
It's a Lexus. We don't have the money for this, Nathan.
We don't?
No, we don't. Your father doesn't. Your father hasn't worked since last March.
What? Yeah. COVID has hit a lot of people hard, and I'm no exception.
Nathan, you got fired in March 2019. COVID had nothing to do with it.
Hey, pal, I guess your old man's busted.
It's beginning to look a lot like savings, so get to your local Lexus dealer today.
How much did you spend on this ridiculous car, Nathan?
It was only $39.99 to its signing. $4,000. It's not that much, babe.
And how much is the monthly payment?
The what?
Did you think this entire car costs $4,000?
Uh-huh.
There's a monthly payment.
Yeah, but with the 0% APR, I think it's all good.
APR? Do you mean APR?
I'm pretty sure it's APR.
Wow.
Just wow.
And it gets dumber and dumber as you go. That's about Christmas, but Sarah Catherine, I know that especially in financial planning, like I had clients back in the day that would take me aside and go, don't tell my husband or don't tell my wife that I've got this $20,000 in credit card debt. You need to know, but I've got that. Sarah Catherine clicked out. So
she's apparently hiding something as well. Oh, damn.
I don't want to talk about your credit card debt live
I
on
was hoping we weren't going to go here on this episode.
That one hit too close to home, I guess.
live on YouTube. Jesse, but this idea of lying to your spouse, like that's how do you broach in a relationship the fact that your financial picture might not be what your significant other thinks it is?
Boy, how do you come clean? Is that what the question is? How do you come clean?
That is the question.
I mean, this isn't a money question. It's more of it's totally a relationship honesty question. I mean, personally, I would say that, what sunshine is the best disinfectant, as they say. And you just got to come clean and come out in the open. And what's the there's some process out there about how to apologize, but admit to what you've done, describe why it was wrong, and tell them how you plan to not do it again going forward. But going back a step, Joe, I just think about how to not get yourself in that position in the first place. I mean, that's what I think about. Or at least more of the conversations I have are on that topic of when people are getting into relationships, how to be open and honest about their finances up front to begin with and get on the same page early on in a relationship to try to kind of nip that in the bud and avoid that big apology situation so that it never needs to come up in the first place.
Len, when you and the honeybee were first dating, or maybe it wasn't even when you were dating, maybe it was after you were married, when did you guys kind of lay out both of your financial pictures? Like, I'm sure that wasn't date number one, but how far down the street were you before you go, you know what, let's talk about money?
It was pretty early, actually. That's always been, for my relationships, it's always money to me is the most important. It is number one. It's more than sex or anything in a relationship. I think that's the one thing that will totally derail a long-term relationship faster than anything. So we addressed that really quickly. Me and the honeybee are both, we're both very frugal with our money, and we're not free spenders or anything like that. But I know a lot of people think, well, it's impossible to have a free spender with somebody who's more judicious with their spending. And I think that's not true. I think you can make it work. I think one of the most important things you have to do, though, is somehow you're going to have to, segregate your finances if you're separate like that. So somebody doesn't get caught overspending for the other person. So otherwise, I think you'd be in for it'd be a big disaster. Now you can have a joint if you're separate. Spending habits are different, and you have joint accounts. Somebody better be on that, better be monitoring that all the time, because I can see how you get in some real trouble real fast that way. So. Yeah, but that's what it's how you manage things. I think you can always manage your way around things.
I'm totally with you. I think that sometimes somebody who's a free spender with somebody who's tighter is a good check and balance. The problem I've seen is when the free spender is has so much charisma that the person that wasn't a free spender all of a sudden becomes one, and then they become enablers. Jesse, in your relationship, when did you guys start talking about money?
Pretty early on. I mean, we've been together now 7 years, and I'd say probably sometime in the first like 6 to 9 months, we're at least having, it wasn't necessarily a conversation about like, well, how do you spend your money? And like, should I be worried about that? But it was more of just feeling each other out to see if our goals were aligned and if our general philosophies were aligned.
You can pay attention. There's clues. You don't even have to ask if you're dating somebody. I mean, you can see if they're driving a real fancy car and they're living, and they're living in some really nice digs, and they've got a job that's paying, relatively low amount. I mean, then well, something's not adding up here. You can kind of put two and two together if you just do a little detective work on your own. So that would be.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And probably, Len, there probably some of that was going on, even if neither one of us knew it. And then I'm just trying to think back. I think after dating for like a year and 3 months or something is when we moved in together. And I think that might've been the first time where we really were like open kimono. Like before then we were probably aware of like, oh, I still have this college loan hanging around, or like, I had already purchased a house. I was living in a starter home by myself. So she probably knew what the home was worth and what the mortgage was like. But when we first moved in, that's when we really sat down and said, here's what I earn, here's what you earn, here's what the household expenses are moving forward. And we kind of took that first step into, not fully combining, but at least the first step towards combining our finances.
You walk around in a kimono and she's still stuck around?
Oh, an open kimono, Doug.
Oh, no.
Happy Valentine's Day, buddy.
Oh, damn.
No. All right, and on that wild note, I think normally here we break for the trivia, but Sarah Catherine wrote us. For those of you listening later, we took a wild pause because Sarah Catherine just dropped out and her internet's gone. So we're going to bring back the trivia next week. Coming up in the second half, I asked people on social media for Money Geeks, for our Money Geek friends, what is sexy? What is romantic? And how do we make Valentine's Day romantic for our Money Geek friends? We're going to hear from Len and from Jesse and from people on social media in just a minute. All right, Len, let's start with you, man. Valentine's Day. What's Len's kind of Valentine? Like, what's the Len Penzo Money Geek equivalent of Barry White, dimmed lighting?
Well, and keeping it, within a budget of some sort is what you're talking about. Yeah. One of the, anything homemade, it's things that you could, I was joking about the Hallmark cards a while back. I mean, if you just do simple notes, a simple card that you make yourself, or a simple note for the first thing, in the maybe in the morning to greet as a greeting. Put that down there where your significant other usually hangs out and gets her coffee or whatever. That means more than usually a regular card that's pre-written for that. So, I mean, that's something you can do on your own. And even when it comes to dinner, don't go out to dinner. Go to the store, grab some nice fresh vegetables and a nice couple of nice steaks and cook dinner yourself. And there's a lot, put a couple candles on the table or whatever. I mean, there's so many ways you can do things on the cheap, and it means so much more. And it's and hey, if you're fortunate enough to still have your parents around, the grandparents, take the kids to the grandparents, drop them off, and you'd have a really nice day on your own without spending a lot of money at all. And like I said, it's all done personally, and that to me, that goes the furthest of anything, even better than going out to a fancy restaurant or what have you. And it's really it really is more memorable, I think.
Cheryl, one year we were having a nice warm February like we do from time to time here. And on Valentine's Day at about 6:30, she just goes, "Come on." And I'm like, "Well, where are we going?" And she has a picnic basket and grabs a bottle of wine and takes us behind her house. There is a golf course. And on the green, she spreads out this blanket, and we got the stars above us. Fantastic. And it was maybe, 65 degrees. And we sat out there and just had a picnic. And to your point, Len, that was one of the most memorable Valentine's Day gifts I've ever had. Yep. And it cost, we had to eat anyway. It cost the price of a grocery store bottle of wine.
Yep. It shows more level of caring, and it just means more. It really does.
And there's something else, too, that you said early on about the card that I also don't want to dismiss or go past without taking a second and talking about it. The idea, even in a non-romantic way, you know what I treasure? I treasure handwritten notes.
Yes.
When somebody sends me a handwritten note, and the fact that they took the time to put pen on paper and put it in an envelope and send it to me, like, that's not lost on me. And I can't be the only one. I think if you really want to impress somebody, write them a handwritten note. It is amazing. I always say I'm going to do it. I never do. But when somebody sends me one, I'm always just wowed by that.
It's just the easiest way to show you care. I mean, it's just the most blatant way you can show somebody that you actually care. So
you spent time thinking about me.
Yep.
Is pretty kick-ass. Jesse, what lights you up as a money nerd on Valentine's Day?
Well, I was just thinking, I'll answer your question, but I was just thinking too, Finding Forrester. Have you guys seen this movie, Finding Forrester? Sean Connery is a reclusive writer in New York City, befriends a young basketball playing high school student. Anyway, Sean, a great movie. Very good movie. Highly, highly recommend it. Maybe if it's streaming or somewhere free online, you can watch it for free on Valentine's Day.
Wait a minute. Doug is our movie guru. Have you seen Finding Forrester?
I'm the guru. I have seen it. It's been a lot of years, but I've seen that movie. Yeah.
You are the movie guru. Yeah.
There's a great line that you guys reminded me of where Sean Connery is giving some love advice to his young protege, if you will. And he says, the key to another person's heart is an unexpected gift at an unexpected time. And to some extent now, everyone's kind of expecting a gift on Valentine's Day. So I'm not sure you can get the unexpected time part down. But the whole idea of what Len was just sending, or what you guys were talking about, that handwritten note, for a lot of people, that is an unexpected gift, and it's extra special. So kudos to you guys. I like it.
It's funny, but hang on, Jesse, before you answer that, because I want to keep on that train for just a second, because my favorite part of this book I love, called Never Eat Alone, and about the value of relationships. Really, really good book. Highly recommend this. My favorite meme, by the way, about Never Eat Alone is a picture of a dude in the break room eating alone while he's reading the book. It's kind of funny. But Keith Ferrazzi, the guy that wrote this, said, don't be ashamed, even if you have just a little tiny apartment, to have people over at your house. And also, don't be ashamed to make it a potluck. People love potlucks. And just have people over at your house. Even if you only have folding chairs, people love it. You're going to have a great time. And a potluck solves all the money issues with that. And he even said, he goes, but for a really special occasion, and I've done this a couple times, find some local non-professional musician or just barely professional musician. In other words, somebody that you either can pay in experience or not pay. Maybe it's high school kids that you know who are in the band and are pretty good. Have them come to your living room halfway through the party. Don't tell anybody they're coming. This is the key. The unexpected time part, Jesse, was huge. Don't tell anybody they're coming. And at the halfway point, these 3 people with violins show up, these 3 high schoolers with violins, and they play a few songs for us. And I got to tell you, when I've done that at a couple parties, that is kick-ass. It is so amazing.
That's a good idea. And actually, I think our babysitter plays the flute. She only charges $18 an hour. So we might get her to come over and play some too. No one? Okay.
Good boy, Doug. Good boy.
Did I need to pick a different instrument? The drums?
I mean, come on, man.
Hey, can I bring something up? So now that this has gone off the rails,
Please.
Jesse was talking about movies and stuff. I think Jesse was talking about the movies. There's another way to save money is you instead of going to the movies and spending a ton of money, you can do a pay-per-view at your house, right? Well, on a related note to that, recently, me and the honeybee wanted to watch a movie, and my son brought up that, hey, instead of doing the pay-per-view, you can, I've got a way you can see this movie for free, And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, oh, yeah, there's a website and you can see almost any movie you want. You just go, it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, sure. Hook it up. So, he got his computer and hooked up to our TV, and he's like, yeah, okay. So me and the honeybee, we picked our movie and we started watching it. Before it started too, I was asking myself, like, well, how do they make money? Where does the money come in? How do people make money doing this? If you're just checking this, online and some websites playing these, he's like, oh, they just sell ads or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, well, we're watching the movie. I don't see any ads at all. We're about 75% through the movie. And in the lower right corner of our TV, now we're watching this on like a 70-inch television set, right? On the lower right corner of the screen while we're watching the movie, slides out a picture. It's a naked woman, basically. Oh yeah, it's sitting there, and there's a little note there, and it says, "Hey, I've got 4 pictures of me, 4 pictures of me with nothing on, and I'd really love you to come and look at visit my pictures gallery." And I was like, kind of embarrassing, but I just laughed at it. It was quite funny. So I did realize that's how these companies make their money from, because I can see all these, teenage boys and 20-year-olds absolutely forget the movie and they start clicking on the thing. Oh, hey, yeah, let's take a look at those. There goes the movie. And they've made their money.
And a pirated video. Or do you think the video was there legitimately?
I'm not saying anything about whether the video was pirated or not. I won't say anything, but I will say I definitely know now how they make their money. So
I can't imagine the Paramount Pictures are like, hey, we got a new idea. Here's what we're gonna do. Yeah. Sony's like, this is the best thing ever. You often wonder what happens at the Penzo house, and now you know.
I'm just glad we didn't have like 4, our neighbors over for the movie too at the same. That would have really been something.
But Jesse, all of that, and we still haven't heard what lights you up for Valentine's Day.
Well, and especially on a budget, you're asking, Joe, right? Or like,
sure.
what the finance nerd would want to do on
yes.
On Valentine's Day. Well, I thought of some ideas, and some of it comes down to what the individual people are interested in. Because it's like, you know what? If you're foodies and you're personal finance nerds and you want to do something fun and creative, here at Wegmans, we have this Wegmans app, and you can go on the app and you can see what's on sale in the store. It's okay. Like, take what Len was saying. You can make your own meal at the store, but do it on sale. Only use stuff that's on sale. They say restriction breeds creativity. Well, great. Yeah. The restrictions of only using things that are on sale is going to breed some kind of creative meal, and it'll be a fun little adventure for you and whoever your Valentine's partner is. Or maybe you like to travel, or you just like adventures. So it's like, okay, for a Valentine's Day romantic activity, you each have to bring the other partner a local one-day adventure that's going to cost, $50 or less or something like that. I think that's another really cool one that I could think about, some road trips or just some cool things around Greater Rochester that we've never done before. I know that's something that my honeybee, I need to come up with a nickname for her, but that's something that she would really like is that kind of DIY frugal adventure. So I just think depending on who you are and who your partner is and the things they like, those could be some really fun, cheap Valentine's Day activities.
Those are great ideas. I really like the idea of putting those restrictions in place, because when you do, your brain does always get creative. Like it's incredible what your brain does. I asked people on Blue Sky what they thought, and Invest Quietly said, "I'm always a sucker for a well-developed spreadsheet." So imagine sharing spreadsheets, like put on some Barry White. No?
Oh, what if you gave somebody a rose?
Oh boy.
ROWS.
Leave the bad jokes to me, Jesse. Okay, that's.
Oh. Did I tell you guys, by the way, Cheryl has been just a pain lately. She's been horrible. Like, she told me she's sick of me pretending I'm a flamingo, and that's when I put my foot down. Miranda says, I mean, I do love it when somebody wants to talk investing with me, or splitting the cost of a cruise. As a single person, a cruise buddy is a nice clutch. So I do like the idea of splitting something. Let's do something that we would normally do, and let's split it. That's nice. Ute in Oregon said, compound interest calculations. That's some whisper compound interest calculations in somebody's ear. I'm hearing romance.
Here's something on a related note. The rule of 72 is actually the rule of 69. Did you know that?
Oh boy.
It's true. It's absolutely true. They just say the rule of 72. It's truly 69. What's the problem there, Doug? You look uncomfortable.
I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, Len.
No, there's no other shoe.
We're waiting for the end of that, and we're all afraid. We're very afraid.
Joe, can I throw an idea out there to get this back on Main Street instead of the red light district where Len's taking us? When we were just getting started and didn't have a lot of money, I came up with what I thought was a genius idea, but also it became very difficult to keep going. But I would do Valentine's week, and for the 7 days leading up to Valentine's Day, would do little things, but try to do a surprise. So it might just be a bag of Hershey's Kisses with a note, a nice note, and I would put that on her car seat. So when she wanted to go out to work in the morning, she would see this little surprise thing. And that would be it. That would be day 3 or, whatever it was. But it was just small stuff like that. It was the little note. But holy cow, that is hard to sustain over a marriage. I think I made it like 10 or 12 years, and it just became more and more, because you can only go back to the bag of Hershey's Kisses so many times before it just looks like you're mailing it in. So it got really tough to do a week of little things, but it did work for a while, and it certainly saved a lot of money. And like the 7th day was never like, maybe I'd make dinner. It wasn't the big night out, super expensive thing. It was.
Well, I do like Sarah Catherine's idea of acts of service. Clean out the garage. Like that's
right.
It's a great thing. I wish Cheryl would do that. She'd start cleaning out the garage. It'd be so romantic. Those are pretty good ones. Thanks everybody that contributed those on my burgeoning Blue Sky, my new social media platform that I'm spending a little time on, having fun, experimenting with new places. I think that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for contributing to a phenomenal Valentine's Day and early birthday present for Mr. Penzo and I. Jesse, what's going on at the whatever the heck you're calling it podcast?
My podcast that used to be known as the Best Interest Podcast, and as of you hearing this in your ears now has a new name that you have to go and find out for yourself. We just released episode 100, in which we announce the name change and we play back some of our favorite bits and bytes from the first 99 episodes. And coming up soon, I think next episode, we have Coach Carson, Chad Carson, a terrific mind in the residential real estate investing world, coming on to share some of his wisdom with us.
It's funny, the longer I know Chad, it's weird how much we're alike. You know, in my hometown in Texarkana, I'm part of a nonprofit group that builds walking trails around town, works with the city, and so is he.
Exactly.
I think we have like the same nonprofit stuff we do. It's crazy.
Totally. And I mean, having spent time with you at FinCon, Joe, I know that you're also like a 6'4", 240-pound former collegiate linebacker.
Yes,
so you guys have that in common too.
We are very, very much.
That's crazy.
We were both college athletes. However, his was a little bit bigger stage than mine was. I would say Clemson football, a little better than Citadel cross country.
No, I've watched enough ESPN to know that that's not true. Citadel cross country.
Citadel cross country is where it's at. Yeah,
it's huge.
That's right, and they're still running. And look at that, they're running.
That one guy passed the other guy.
Left foot, right foot that time, Bob. It was incredible. Mr. Penzo, what's going on at lenpenzo.com, my friend?
Oh, I don't know. It's the same old crap over here. It really doesn't matter. All I care about is you come over and click on the ads, and that's all I care. You don't even have to stay. Just click the ad and leave. That's lenpenzo.com. Yeah. Saturdays is kind of fun, though. I do the squirrel cams are on Saturdays on our Black Coffee, which is a lot of fun because I highlight the best tweets and financial news of the week. So it's a fun little thing. But if you want to do that, come on by. And if not, just stop on by. And like I said, click the ads and then you can leave. It'd take you 5 seconds. And I'd appreciate it. So thanks.
Len, I'm on the site now and the ads, she's not wearing many clothes and she is talking about her pictures. Is that the ad to click on?
You got it, my friend. Those pay the most. Those if it has an XXX, those pay the most.
What is happening? What is happening? I don't know what's happening.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Your check's in the mail, bud.
That's great.
Believe me, if you click on that one, there's enough for both me and you. So
February 15th is about to be the busiest day in lenpenzo.com history.
By the way, it is our birthdays coming. Our birthdays are coming up, Joe. Both of us. So and we're both getting old.
Both guys' birthdays.
That's the bad news. The bad news, we're both getting old. But you know what the good news is? Old age doesn't last very long. So we got that to look forward to.
On that note, on that inspiring note, Doug, get us out of here, man. What should we have learned today?
I can't imagine a lot, but I'll give it a shot, Joe. First, I can't believe when Jesse said that thing about giving an unexpected gift like an open kimono. Jesse, can you summarize that for us again? Less graphically?
If you're going to buy your partner something special for Valentine's Day, see if it qualifies as an HSA expense.
Oh, it's fantastic. Joe doesn't get it yet. Second, as usual, Len really brought the heat today. Hey, Len, as someone who's been married 74 years, what advice would you give to the youngins?
Len?
Nothing.
Isn't that where you put the cricket sound effect in after that?
Because you've got nothing?
Don't get old, kids. When has this changed since I've been gone? What is it that you're asking questions in the closing? Now you're supposed to just say what you learned, and then this is the part where I kind of cruise.
You just take a nap.
Doug's getting lazy. Yes.
I didn't know you're making me do homework in the close.
Actually, we like it better. I do like it better when we have people say what the thing was.
Here, ask me again. What was the question? I don't even remember what the question was. I really wasn't.
You know what I was thinking of when I wrote it, Len, was when you said that money's more important to a happy marriage and being aligned with was more important than sex or anything else. So yeah, that's what I was thinking of. So 3, 2, 1. Second, as usual, Len really brought the heat today. Hey, Len, as someone who's been married for 74 years, what advice would you give to the youngins listening?
I don't know. I can't give you a witty answer for that. I'm sorry.
It doesn't have to be witty. I literally just told you what the answer was.
I don't know. Look, I'm a little rusty at this roundtable stuff, so you can
Spell it out for him, Doug. Again.
Okay, Doug, what's the big lesson? What's the big lesson, Doug?
You mean besides that one? Well, Joe, the big lesson? I think today's discussion proves that love is like Joe's mom's basement. Ignore the cracks too long, and it's going to cost you big time. Thanks to Len Penzo for joining us today. You'll find more of Len's work at lenpenzo.com or squirrelsafterdark.com. We'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Thanks to Sarah Catherine Gutierrez for hanging out with us today for like 15 minutes. You'll find her fabulous financial planning work. And shit was like when the popular girl comes over to your table at lunch and realizes, oh yeah, these guys are nerds. I'm out.
Yeah, no thanks to her internet service.
Yeah, it was her internet service. You'll find her fabulous financial planning work at ladysplaining.com. Maybe my favorite website name ever. And thanks also to Jesse Cramer for joining us today. You'll find his podcast somehow, like just go out and search the internet. You'll figure it out somehow. Or, you know, you'll find his Best Interest podcast or whatever the kids are calling it these days, wherever you're listening to us right now. So go subscribe if you can solve the riddle. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.
Welcome to the after show. This is the part of the show that doesn't exist. Doug,
thank God.
Doug, what's our trivia question? We got trivia head to head between Len and Jesse today.
All right. Okay. It's a cage match. You want me to like do the actual script or just read the question?
Let's do the script, man. Let's do it.
Because you worked so long on this one. Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. You know what I love for Valentine's Day? A nice, crisp, mercifully short trivia question. That's what. Here's today's. What percentage of Americans in relationships cite finances as their primary source of stress? I'll be back right after I help Joe's mom by taking out the garbage, because that will quickly relieve some stress, guaranteed.
All right, Len, you brought this up, by the way, that money, bigger stress than anything else. What percentage of people agree with you that money's the number one stressor?
I think it's super high. I'd be shocked if it's not. I would say at least 4 out of 5. At least 4 out of 5 people. I'd say 4.5. I'll say 85%.
85%. Jesse?
So I feel like because it's a one-on-one, it would be unfair of me simply to take the under and say 84%.
Just to say 84?
Yeah, right. I feel like that's a rookie move.
Yeah, for on a two-person game, I agree.
Yeah. But I'll say, I think my first instinct.
You know what you should have had us do is write the answer down and put it in front of the.
That's okay. I'll try to be an honest broker here. Because as you were reading the question, and I just want to make sure it's what percentage of people listed it as their number one stressor?
Yeah, that's right? The spirit of the question. Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say like somewhere between a third and half. So I'll just say 40% was going to be my. If you had made me go first, I would have said 40%.
All right, 85% and 40%. Doug, what's our answer? Who's going to win this thing?
That's good, Jesse. Thank you for being such an upstanding, high character individual.
I Googled it, Len, so I didn't want to say
you did?
That's stupid. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I've written about it before, and something about that stat, I wanted to think I think it's a plurality. Like it might be the most common answer, but for some reason I didn't think it's above 50% because there are all these other reasons that it could be too. So anyway.
Well, let's see, Doug, who's going to take home the win?
Hey there, stackers. I'm stress reducer and guy who can't seem to find any lessons for the language of love on Duolingo, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Valentine's Day. Based on this discussion, it's apparently a day when you go into debt and lie to your partner about it, all in the name of making them happy. Sounds about right. It's no wonder we're stressed out. Well, here was the question. What percentage of Americans in relationships cite finances as their primary source of stress? The answer? Well, it was 48% less than what OG guessed and just 3% less than what Jesse guessed. Well, yeah, because we want OG to be wrong, right? So
yeah,
OG /
Len was throwing it for OG.
Yeah, Len was playing for OG. So it's important that everybody takes away from this that OG sucked canal water on this one.
Even without being here.
Even without being here. It was 48% less than what OG / Len guessed and just 3% less than what Jesse guessed because the answer is 37%, making most importantly not OG our winner.
But you know what is funny when you dive into that, where Len, to your point, when finance isn't number one, it's a close number two. I don't know if you remember that, Jesse, from looking at that before, but clearly very, very, very close.
What's number one?
No, that is number one. I'm saying in people's stresses, people that don't have it listed as number one, because our question was, what's the number one stressor? They have it listed as the number two stressor.
I see.
So finance is a huge stressor for everybody. Just some people have, problem families, jobs, whatever, other stuff going on. So, well, that's it.
I'm just sorry this wasn't official because then it would have officially counted against OG, but oh well.
I know.
So that's too bad.
Well, that's just your warm up, man. That's just the warm up. Next time.
Great.